Hey guys, welcome to our Dota 2 basic series where we're gonna make you pro, period. Expect your mental and actual MMR to go up by 500 by the end of this video. Today we'll be talking about creep pulling. Pulling is the art of tricking your lane creeps into thinking that a bunch of tiny neutral are bullying you. It works by drawing the creep aggro at the camp at a certain time and then making them to meet up with your lane creeps. Now, different camps have different pull times, and of course I could give you the exact seconds to pull this particular camp. I think it's much easier to remember the general area of where your creeps need to be to pull successfully. So for example, in the safe lane for the Radiant side, pull when your lane creeps are about here. For the Dire safe lane, pull the lane creeps when they're about there. And of course, for the big camps on the left side of the map, it's pullable by both sides. So again, on the Radiant, you pull when the creep is around your T1 tower, and for the Dire, it's also around the T1 tower. A small tip about pulling is that if you look like you're going to miss the pull because you mistimed it, you could tank the creep a little bit when you're around 500 AoE around the creep wave. This will aggro your wave and they will follow neutral back into your camp. This is really helpful when you're pulling a camp that has a range creep in it. Also keep in mind that different creep camps have different movement speed. The No camp and the Ghost Lady camp, for example, moves a little bit faster than No More camps, so you could get pulled a little bit easier with them. Alright, you know about pulling. Well, as an extension to the technique, double pulling is when you pull the next neutral camp when your first camp is about to die. Double pulling is going to need a bit of practice to get a feel of how long each camp could tank before they die. On average, the pullable camp on the safe lane takes about 15 seconds or so to die, so you probably want to leave the first camp to double pull the second camp about 9 to 10 seconds in. Of course, you could adjust the timing by attacking the neutral camp, or even cast a low mana spell to give yourself a successful double pull. I suggest practice double pulling in a private lobby game if you play support heroes a lot. This is like practicing last hit if you're a carry player. You shouldn't mess double pulling up. It could really mess up the creep equilibrium if you do. Okay, so we know how to pull, we know how to double pull, and all the other pulling jazz. Great, but it won't be a relax you're fine video if I don't tell you why you should be pulling. So the first question you should ask yourself is, what do I want to get out of the pull? Well, if you want to deny a whole wave of creeps and experience to the enemy offlane, you might want to stack the neutral camp first before pulling it, or you need to double pull. Stacking the camp first or double pulling it is going to get your whole wave killed. You can even help by denying your own creeps at half health. Your other support hopefully will be zoning out the enemy offlaner from coming into your neutral camp area to gain experience from your creeps and steal some of the neutral experience. Okay, so instead of denying all the creeps, maybe you want to get some experience and go for yourself. Well, in that case, you want to double pull. You also want to pretty much auto attack the neutral camps while getting the last hits. You want your wave to survive as long as possible to perform the double pull. Heck, it's common to even do a triple pull as well. Getting last hits in double pulling and triple pulling is going to be really hard, so practice, practice, practice. Of course, the other support again could help you by zoning out the offlane. You don't want them to get your juicy experience. Alright, instead you want to push the lane. You see this happening all the time in pubs. When a support pulls a single camp, your creep wave hangs out a bit in the camp for 10 to 15 seconds, and then their creep gets owned by your tower. Then the first wave joins your next wave, and then suddenly you're doubling the size of your creep wave and you're going to be pushing hard. Now, a way to make this technique much more effective is to time your pushing wave with the siege creep. Siege creeps spawn every 3.5 minutes, so if you do a single pull around 2:45 or 3:15, you're going to be letting your siege creep wave join the other creep wave and you're going to push real hard. Now, I know I told you a lot about pulling. It doesn't mean you should always pull. For most supports, focusing on lane control, zoning, ganking, all of that stuff is probably more important than pulling non-stop. Another thing, let your carry know if you're pulling. They're going to be alone next to the tower, getting chased by a whole wave of creeps, and that could get pretty dangerous if they're diving your carry. Every game is a little bit different, and this is more or less just a guideline on creep pulling. I hope this helped, and you are now more pro than you were 4.5 minutes ago. Hey guys, Luminous from Relax You're Fine. If you haven't watched the last 2 weeks basic series video on stacking as well as zoning, I really suggest you do so. Treat it as like a 3-part trilogy and you just watch part 3. You don't want to skip part 1 and part 2. I hope they help you as well, and until next time, this is Relax You're Fine and we are signing off.